Queen Makeda, the legendary Queen of Sheba, rose from humble beginnings to become the wisest and most influential ruler of her time. Her kingdom, Sheba, was located in the heart of the ancient world, rich in culture, knowledge, and prosperity. Known for her brilliance, beauty, and unshakable leadership, Makeda's journey would shape the world for generations. From an early age, Makeda showed a keen intellect that set her apart from others. While many rulers sought power through military might, Queen Makeda sought strength through wisdom. Her reputation for solving complex problems and offering wise counsel spread beyond the borders of Sheba, reaching the ears of many great kings and rulers. One such ruler was King Solomon of Israel, a man whose wisdom rivaled that of Makeda herself. The two monarchs had heard much of each other's intelligence, and the time soon came for them to meet. Makeda traveled across the vast desert to Jerusalem, determined to test Solomon's legendary wisdom and challenge him with her own riddles and questions. When they met, both kings and queens were struck by the wisdom they saw in one another. They exchanged gifts and tales, tested each other's knowledge, and discussed matters of governance and philosophy. The meeting between Solomon and Makeda was not just a diplomatic one, it was a meeting of minds. During her time in Jerusalem, Makeda was amazed by Solomon's palace and the grandeur of his court. Solomon, in turn, was impressed by the wisdom and grace of the African queen. She had brought with her treasures from Sheba, jewels, spices, and precious woods, but it was her mind and character that left the deepest impression on Solomon. He invited her to stay longer, and they became fast friends, exchanging ideas that would shape the future of both their kingdoms. Before she left, Makeda requested the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred relic that Solomon had kept in his palace. He agreed to her request, and it was with great ceremony that the Ark was entrusted to Queen Makeda, a symbol of the deep connection between Sheba and Israel. The queen returned home, not only with treasures, but with a deep sense of responsibility to her people. Back in Sheba, Queen Makeda continued her reign with wisdom and compassion. She built institutions of learning, founded schools for the young, and ensured that her people had access to the knowledge they needed to thrive. She was not just a queen, she was a teacher, a philosopher, and a visionary. As the years went by, Queen Makeda's reputation as the wisest woman in the world spread far and wide. Kings, scholars, and diplomats from distant lands sought her advice on matters ranging from politics to philosophy, trade to justice. But despite the pressures of ruling a vast and prosperous kingdom, she remained humble and committed to the ideals of fairness and wisdom. Her leadership was characterized not by force or violence, but by a deep belief in the power of knowledge. Makeda believed that wisdom was the true strength of a kingdom, and she used her intellect to knit her people and foster peace with neighboring kingdoms. Her alliances were formed not through war, but through diplomacy, education, and mutual respect. Over time, Queen Makeda grew older, and the weight of leadership began to take its toll. But she continued to rule with the same clarity of mind and vision that had defined her reign. She knew that the future of Sheba depended on the next generation of leaders, and so she carefully mentored her successor, ensuring that the values she held dear would continue to guide the kingdom. When her time finally came, Queen Makeda passed away peacefully, leaving behind a legacy that would endure for centuries. Her death was mourned by her people, who celebrated her life with grand ceremonies and tributes to her wisdom. She was laid to rest in a place of honor, her tomb marked by a monument that would stand as a symbol of her contributions to Sheba and the world. Her burial site, located in what is now Ogun State, Nigeria, became a sacred place, visited by those who sought to pay their respects to the great queen. It was said that her spirit continued to watch over the kingdom, guiding her people even after her death. Over the centuries, the legend of Queen Makeda grew, and her story was passed down through generations. Her legacy lived on in the teachings she had imparted to her people, the institutions she had founded, and the wisdom she had shared with the world. The Kingdom of Sheba, under her leadership, had flourished and became a beacon of peace, knowledge, and prosperity. Her influence reached far beyond her lifetime, as rulers and leaders from distant lands sought to follow in her footsteps. Her name became synonymous with wisdom, and her story was told for generations, inspiring countless individuals to seek knowledge and lead with compassion. Queen Makeda's impact on the world was immeasurable. Her rule demonstrated that intelligence, fairness, and wisdom were the true hallmarks of a great leader, and her reign proved that even in a world of turmoil and strife, peace could be achieved through understanding and dialogue. Today, Queen Makeda is remembered not only as a powerful ruler, but as the wisest woman to ever walk the earth. Her name lives on in history, and her legacy continues to inspire all who seek to lead with wisdom, integrity, and compassion. As time passed, Queen Makeda's story transcended the borders of Sheba, becoming a legend that echoed across many lands. Her wisdom was not only preserved in the libraries of Sheba, but also spread through oral traditions, written texts, and teachings passed down from generation to generation to generation. In the centuries following her reign, several rulers began to embody Makeda's values in their own leadership. Emperors and kings who had once been known for their military might now sought peaceful solutions to conflict, inspired by the queen who had demonstrated that wisdom, not war, could lead a kingdom to glory. Her tomb, located in what is now Ogun State, Nigeria, became a pilgrimage site for those seeking enlightenment. The place where Queen Makeda had been laid to rest remained a symbol of her greatness. People from across the world traveled to her resting place to honor her memory, pay their respects, and seek inspiration for their own lives. It was said that those who stood before her tomb could feel the presence of her wisdom, as if her spirit continued to guide them toward the path of peace and knowledge. Despite the passing of centuries, scholars continued to study the records left by Queen Makeda. They uncovered ancient texts written in languages long forgotten, some of which had been passed down through the hands of the queen's descendants and trusted advisors. These records told of her complex strategies in diplomacy, her profound understanding of governance, and the philosophical principles she believed were crucial for a peaceful and thriving society. Though the physical remnants of Sheba might be lost to time, the legacy of Queen Makeda lived on. Her story became a symbol of the enduring power of intellect, leadership, and the pursuit of knowledge. It was said that those who followed her teachings could bring peace and prosperity to their own lands, just as she had done for Sheba. The idea of wisdom as a guiding force became central to many new philosophies, movements, and institutions. Queen Makeda's commitment to fostering education, uniting people through shared understanding, and solving problems with diplomacy inspired generations of educators, philosophers, and leaders. Schools were named in her honor, and scholars dedicated their lives to studying the texts and lessons that had emerged from her reign. In the 21st century, the story of Queen Makeda was revived in modern media, where her story was retold as an example of wisdom, strength, and perseverance. Books, films, and documentaries celebrated her as an icon of leadership, a reminder that wisdom, not might, is what changes the course of history. Her story reached new generations, rekindling the understanding that a wise ruler can transform a kingdom, and that true greatness lies in humility, empathy, and the pursuit of knowledge. Her influence was also felt through the centuries in the African diaspora. In Nigeria, Ethiopia, and other parts of the continent, Queen Makeda was remembered not only as a ruler but as a symbol of African pride and intellectual strength. Festivals and commemorations were held in her honor, and her teachings were shared through community gatherings, ensuring that the queen's legacy was passed down through the ages.